says Tanya. He quotes from Chaim Bita. We left off last time. He quotes from Etz Chaim. It says that every Jew, whether tzaddik or whether Rasha, he has two neshamot. He has two souls. It says in the pasuk, "V'neshamot ani asiti." Shaya the Navi, he says, God says, souls I have created. Meaning, to say that even in a person there's two souls, which is, nefesh ahad mitzad klipa, v'hi mitlabeshet bedam ha'adam liut haguf. You have one soul, which is the animalistic soul from the klipa. And this is mitlabesh. It clothes itself in the body of the person to give life force to the body. And then you're going to have a higher soul, which is the soul inside your body, right? Because it says, the pasuk, ki nefesh basar bedamhi, right? You're not allowed to eat blood because the blood is the life force, is the soul of the person. How could it be the blood is the life force? Because the animalistic soul lives in the body. It's in the body, in the blood. So therefore you see that there is a tlapshut, there's a clothing, there's a envelopment of the soul, the animalistic soul, in the body. So therefore we have to realize that this is all from the klipa. Now klipa, what's klipa? Klipa is needed also. Klipa is shell. Klipa is a reference to the sitra achra, the other side, the evil forces. But you have to realize that the klipa is the peel. It literally means peel. Like you have a fruit. You have the fruit on the inside, and you have the peel on the outside. The peel, in a lot of ways, makes the fruit inside better. It keeps it fresh, or it protects it from other things. The klipa, there is what to take from it. There is a gain from it. There is a benefit from it. So therefore, the same thing. A person has a struggle with his bodily desires, and he overcomes them. He becomes a greater person, becomes a holier person. So you see, from the klipa, we grew. From overcoming the klipa, we became better. We became holier. So there's a benefit from the klipa. So therefore, he says, it has value tremendously also. So therefore he says, Kacha olam gashmi hu yafeh, akol meleh tzlofan, akol moshech. Im ken klipa hu lo davar ra, el davar mitzuyan. He says the klipa, like for a fruit it's good, so too in the world, that a person has to know how to peel the fruit and take what he needs. Just like you take off the peel before you eat your fruit, so too in this world, you have to be willing to see beneath the surface, do things in this life that's valuable, that's good for you, and take away the peel and throw it away. Take away the peel that's not the superficial stuff, the stuff that is not important for you and is only going to bring you down. Throw that away and take the fruit. And from this animalistic soul comes all of our bad character traits, which has the four basic fundamental ingredients, the fundamental elements in this world, which is esh, ruach, mayim, afar, which is fire, wind, water, and dirt. And he says that this our animalistic soul comes from those elements, and it represents all our bad character traits. Dainu ka'as, from our animalistic soul we have anger, ga'ava, arrogance, misoda ish. Those are related to the element of fire. Shenigma lemala, right? And then you have also tavat anugim, right? Desires for food, desires for immorality. All this from sod mayim, that comes from the element of water. Olut, litzanut, itparut, vedvarim, betelim, yesod ruach, right? Arrogance and making mockery and silliness and all this vulgar speech. All that comes from the element of wind. And finally, the bad trait of atzlut v'atzavut, laziness and sadness, where you don't want to do anything, you're like very low. That comes from the fundamental element of afar, of dirt. So therefore you see that all of our animistic soul gives us all these desires. And again, the point is to overcome them. The person has to say, oh Rabbi, I'm a person who gets very easily angered, very easily depressed, very easily lazy, very easily not motivated. The person has to know that means you have a big test and you have a big neshama, and therefore God's giving you this test to overcome it and become a great person. The person shouldn't think, oh, I'm an anger type and that's it, now my life is over, I'm always going to be anger type. No. You're supposed to work on it. You're supposed to become somebody because of that. So therefore, a person has to make sure to go out of his way to realize that he has a big mission, and Hashem expects for him to go over it, to overcome all this stuff. So what? So he says that a person who knowing this now, what? Gamidot tovot. You have to know that there's also good character traits that comes out of this. That what? Shebeteva kol Yisrael betoldotan kmo rachmanut gemilut chasadim baot mimena. But also good character traits comes from this soul. That what? For example, what are the three signs of a Jew? The Gemara says 3 signs of a Jew is they're merciful, they're they have they're bash, meaning they're embarrassed type. They have shame, and also they're very giving. They're very kind. They do chesed, right? So therefore, what? So therefore, he says this also comes from the nefesh ba'amid. This also comes from the animalistic soul of a Jew. Ki b'Yisrael nefesh zo diklipa kiplat noga. How could it be? There's the bad traits and good traits come from the soul. I thought it's bad from klipa. He says no. There's 4 major klipas. We know that the sages tell us from the Navi, and one klipa could be uplifted or lowered, and that's klipat noga. Klipat noga is the one klipa that we have as a Jew, where we're able to uplift or demote based on our actions, if we could use it for good or use it for bad. The Mekubalim explain, for example, right? When you read the Torah with twice the pasuk and one time the translation Aramaic. Aramaic is not Hebrew, it's not Lashon HaKodesh, but it's the concept of klipat noga, uplifting the sparks, uplifting the klipa, which you take a non-Jewish language and you uplift it and make it part of a mitzvah. So that's like uplifting klipat noga. So he says sheyesh ba gam ken tov, because we know klipat noga also has good and bad from the sod, and this is the sod. It's a dat over. This is the secret of the tree of knowledge that had good and bad in it. So therefore, a person who can uplift the klipat noga, he's doing bitikun for the sin of Adam Rishon. He quotes from the Mekubalim. He says that kol echad ma'avot tiken b'cheina achat. We know that each of these 4 fundamentals, the avot fixed. The Rav Abargel says, right? He says Avraham tiken et ha'esh, right? Avraham, he did rectification for fire. The fundamental element of fire, which we know is we said before is kas, is anger, right? And we said for example also. Gava, right? Arrogance is from fire, and then he fixed that. That's why, where was Avraham Avinu thrown? In the fire, right? And he was very also busy with digging wells to put out the fire. Yitzhak, it was mitaken, the ruach, right? So therefore, he was the one who says that he was busy with the land and the earth. It says Vayizra Yitzhak be'eretz ahiv v'imtza b'shana ahim mea sharim v'yirecheu Hashem. So what does that mean? He says that Yitzhak Avinu was busy planting the earth and v'mitaken the ruach. Yaakov tiken the mayim v'etachai. Yaakov Avinu did the tikkun for the water, and we know that he was blessed with the water. Why? Because it says the Targum Yonatan says that day that he blessed Anshe Haran, they didn't need water, right? As long as he was in the city, there was a lot of shefa with water in the city. When he left, everybody right away felt that he left. Why? Because there was no more water that day. So therefore, what do you see? We see that each of the avod, they fixed. What did they leave behind? They left behind the fundamental of the earth, of afar. So therefore, what do we have to work on? We have to work on this, but you should know there was another tzaddik who did a tikkun. David HaMelech, but before that, Yosef was metaken yesod afar. Laziness and sadness, Yosef HaTzadik was metaken. So therefore he says that's why all these tzaddikim, they're trying to fix each part of our soul and each part of these 4 fundamentals. He says, okay, but the non-Jew, he doesn't have these aspects of the Jew, and he doesn't have these, he is from the klipa, the other 3 klipot that you cannot uplift. Only the Jewish souls have a klipat noga that can be uplifted. And all the goodness that they do, but goyim, they do good, that's only for their benefit, for themselves. They're not really doing it like the Jewish people who do it for the sake of other people entirely. We do know that Ishmael came from Abraham, so he did learn a little bit of what it means to go and give to others. But at the end of the day, Avraham Avinu's kids is who got this ability in their soul to be able to go and to be truly giving and do really good things. Kedita beGemara על הפסוק וחסד נאומים חטאת שכל צדקה וחסד אומות עובדי גרורים עושים אינן אלא יתייחר. As the Gemara Masechah Bava Basra says that this that they do good in tzedakah, this is not really for the other people, it's really for themselves, like Gemara says. Therefore you have to say every single day Baruch She'asani Goy. Why? Because I have a different soul than them, and therefore I'm able to do different things and accomplish different things. So now what happens? So now we explain the Nefesh Ba'amit. But now we have to know, we have also Nefesh Elokit. What's Nefesh Elokit? We have a spiritual soul. We have a godly soul. Now, our physical soul is in the body. How do you feed the body? How do you feed the soul? You got to feed it physical things. But our godly soul has to be eating from where? It has to have spiritual vitamins. It has to have spiritual food. What is the spiritual food for our neshama? Our spiritual food for neshama is learning and davening and mitzvot. If you do not feed your godly soul with these things, you will become sick. You will become rotten. You will become unable to use your godly soul properly. A person wants to run a marathon and he drinks Coke all day. How are you going to run the marathon? You have no energy. You didn't put the right fuel. You didn't feed yourself the vitamins. Same thing with your godly soul. You want your godly soul to work and to really do godly, holy things, you need to give it food. A lot of times people, they say, do we kill? Do we steal? I can be a good person even though I don't learn so much, even though I don't pray so much. I'll be a good person. No, you won't be able to overcome your tzara if you don't give your godly soul vitamins. How do you give your godly soul vitamins? You have to go and learn and keep the mitzvot and learn and pray and every day. Why do we have Shema every day? Twice. Or even 3 times. Why do we have learning every single day, morning and evening? Because the Torah knows, God knows, our souls need daily doses. Daily doses. If you don't get a daily dose multiple times a day, just like you don't eat morning and evening, you won't function. You won't function. And people to understand, breakfast, lunch, dinner, yeah, you have to have. You have to understand, your soul also needs to eat like that. It needs to have Shema and praying and learning and mitzvot constantly in order for be able to go and be spiritually active, spiritually on point. So therefore, a person has to know that a lot of times for a lot of people, it's also hasidut. A lot of times people say, yeah, learning Torah is good, I know, but Gemara is a little bit boring for me. Yeah, so you have to learn how to learn boring things also. And Torah doesn't always have to be super exciting. If you need it, you need it, right? Our food is not always super exciting. You don't only eat crazy steaks and sweet desserts. You have to eat sometimes boring food also. You have to drink water, it's boring. You have to go and eat your vegetables, sometimes it's boring. So you need to go and learn Torah even though it's boring sometimes. You have to learn Gemara because that's your vegetables, because that's your water, you know. Okay, so here and there you'll have sweets. What's your sweets? You learn Hasidut a little bit, some secrets, some here, over there, Kabbalah, whatever it is, some nice explanations. But again, that's like sweets. That's like a kaimok. It's not supposed to be only this. Some people say, I only like to learn Kabbalah. I only like to learn Chumash. I only like to hear crazy chidushim. If that's a crazy chidush, don't tell me. No, Chaz v'shalom. Why? You have to have your basics. You have to have your basic supplements and your vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin C. You can't just make only a platter of sweets and eat that for the rest of your life. You have to have a proper base, and you have to go up and up and start from the bottom, which is the Torah Shebal Peh, Mishnayot, Gemarot, Halachot. And then after you become full of that, then you can go and start dabbling in the Sod. So therefore he says this is the proper way. People don't know. They jump and they do it the way they want, the way they think, and they wonder why their soul is malnourished. They wonder why they come out interesting. They come out weird. They're doing Kabbalistic things, and then they're doing averot. They do sins, basic sins, the basic mitzvot they don't keep. Why? Because they're not following the diet plan. They're following what they want. So the guy makes sure to take vitamins every day, but he doesn't go to the bathroom properly on time, or he doesn't sleep enough, or he doesn't eat his vegetables, or he doesn't drink water. So what does it help you have all those vitamins if you don't keep the basics? Person has to know for your soul also. You could keep a lot of Kabbalistic things, and then what? And then you don't do the basic mitzvot, keep yourself from basic averot. So then what did you gain? What did you gain really? You're still going to be spiritually low, because whatever you gain through those extra things, you're going to be missing out on this. So therefore, a person has to know your soul is a real spiritual living thing, and you have to treat it properly, take care of it, just like your body. If you don't, it's not going to work for you the right way like it's supposed to. Just like you don't sleep enough, your body doesn't work, you don't feed it enough, your body's malnourished, you start having health issues, you'll have spiritual issues also. So therefore, a person has to make sure to feed his soul. And he has to realize, says the Baal Tanya, Ichelek eloka mimal mamash. Your soul is mamash, literally a portion of God. Hashem blew, when the Kabbalists say, when God blew into Adam Rishon, when a person blows, where does he blow from? He blows from within himself, from his own air inside of him. So too, when Hashem blew into the mouth of Adam Rishon, into the nostrils of his life, Hashem from himself blew into him. A part of himself went into us. Whatever that means spiritually. So therefore, a person has to know that we have a portion of a Kadosh Baruch Hu inside of us, We cannot dirty it. We cannot lower it. We cannot taint it. Hashem says, I gave it to you. I want you to give it back to me the way I gave it to you. You have to take care of it. It's like a deposit that Hashem gave us. So therefore, a person has to have this in mind. Like it says, like Hashem says, it says Hashem blew into us this soul, and through the breath the breath of our soul. And we say every morning in the brachot, the kind of shama, you blew it into me. As the Zohar says, man denafach mituche nafach. The one who blows from inside of himself. And we know that what does Hashem say? Hashem says you have to follow my ways. What's following my ways? Just like He's graceful, you're also graceful. He's merciful, you're also merciful. Because Hashem says you have it. You have a part of me inside of you, so you have the ability to be like me. You have the midot. So therefore He says, every single Jew has to know that Hashem put a part of Himself inside of you, and Hashem brought you this world for a purpose, and He thought about you, and He knew that you were needed. And therefore, He says, not that Hashem gave you to some angel to be in charge of you, or to some laws of nature to be in charge of you. Hashem Himself, He made Himself in charge of you, and He is like your father, always looking at you, always trying to make sure you do your job. Dichtiv, Beni Bechori Israel. Because the Tanya says, the Pasuk says, that Hashem says, you are my firstborn, Jewish people. Bani matem la Hashem Elokechem. You are the sons, you are my sons to Hashem your God. So therefore a person has to know that to be a son of Hashem, a son means they're very like the Father, they have the attributes of the Father, very close to the Father. So therefore a person has to know that he has Hashem looking at him, expects from him a lot, and you should not let yourself slip to think, I'm just a regular Jew, there's a lot of religious people, so it doesn't make a difference what I do. Hashem says, you're my son, just like any other of the sons. You don't get forgotten about. You're here and I want to pay for you and I want to do for you and I'm going to make you great and I want you to be successful more than you want to be successful. Hashem loves us more than we love ourselves. And therefore we should never let ourselves slip and think, Chas v'shalom, Hashem forgot about me, Hashem doesn't need me, what does Hashem need me for, what can I do already? A person has to have a certain, right, as the we'll end with the Simcha Bonim Shivcha used to say, a person has to have inside of himself always two papers in his pocket. In one pocket it says, for me the world was created. In the other pocket says, I am but dust of the earth. You need to know when to take out each one. Baruch Na'olam.